There's a darkness on the edge of town. Anyway, hey, cracking some tubs. We drinking some beer. We're doing it upright. We got a fire going here at the Beer Whisper Pub. Now, that's actually my television set. I know I'm not trying to fool you, but I like the way it looks, man. Looks like I'm looking like Heat Miser right there. Except my red shirt, I can pull off a Heat Miser. If they ever did a stage version of that in here in town, or a local version, I would love to audition for Heat Miser. I would knock that out the park. anyway, I digress. A beer like this makes you look giddy, and so does two of them. So what I've got here is I poured about 5 ounces of the MILF. Well, that's no longer MILF, but she was a MILF back then. Now she's aged, and now she's Materfamilias. But here she was MILF. She was still whoring around back then. MILF Rye Barrel Release, Barrel Aged Imperial Stout, 11%, 50 IBUs. This is a 2018. So what I kind of ended up with them by accident, to be honest with you. I didn't realize that I already had one of them, and when I picked up the other. But anyway. And then I have, well, the Materfamilias. So that's a 2018 rye barrel. This is a 2019 rye barrel. You can see it's changed a little bit. Materfamilias Barrel Aged Imperial Stout. So on that one, they give you this, they don't really give you a lot of taste, It's a little more almost a stone-like description. Stone brewery, kind of that arrogant, let's do this, that, and the other. And here they give you more specific notes because, she's grown up a little. She's no longer the MILF. She's the... anyway. Let's put that down. So, let's get the 2019 in this hand. I've got them both in identical snifters here. I had a mother's glass. I only had one of them, and one broke, so I've got one left. But I wanted to do 2 of the exact same glasses, which is why I chose to put them in these snifters. I tried to pour about the same amount in them. I noticed when I had the 2018, there were a lot of similarities between the two, but one thing I noticed right away when I checked the nose on the 2018 was getting a lot of herbal notes. I was also getting licorice. Typically, I would describe that as anise, but it felt more like actual licorice here on the nose, along with everything else. I mean, chocolate, this, that, and the other, but I was really feeling the licorice. And I wasn't feeling it quite as much on the 2019. I was feeling just a hint of anise, an herbal note, but I wasn't feeling that great big kind of licorice kind of aroma. They tell you to look for grassy notes. I'm going to read this to you. Oh, my nose is itchy. I apologize. So I'm going to stipulate that everything they say is there is, and then I'm going to tell you what I think. They tell you to look for flavors and aromas of fresh cut grass, baking spice, sweet cherry, and a firm charred oak. Now I'm going to tell you that I get all of that except for the grass. I'm not really feeling that grass note, but that's probably just me and how I'm interpreting that particular aroma and or flavor. So again, they tell you to look for, because I don't want to forget this as soon as I put the bottle down, because that's what I do. Fresh cut grass, baking spice. I was feeling some of that baking spice, to be honest with you. Kind of some cinnamon, maybe a little bit of cardamom, some nutmeg, a little bit of clove, maybe. Fresh cut grass, baking spice, sweet cherry, and firm charred oak. So I tell you what I did notice. Get that, there we go. Trying to get that in the right spot there. They said sweet cherry. What I was getting was I was getting a sweet cherry, but it felt like put a finer point on it as I try to adjust that camera just a little bit. Put a finer point on it. I was feeling more like a candy cherry, like you'd find in a fruit cake. And other candied notes. I'm going to say date, fig. But let's look at both of these together. Now it could be because of the extra year age, the nose feels a little deeper, a little richer, a little more decadent on the 18. But the 19 is a little brighter, a little fresher. So I mean that's your trade-off. Again, I am feeling that even the more I let this sit, the more I feel that deep that deep dark licorice note. I feel chocolate on both of them, but I feel on the older version, the MILF, before she grew up a little bit. Uh, I feel more of a deeper dark chocolate, and it doesn't feel quite as. I feel like more of a malted chocolate over here. Mm. Oh gosh, that's amazing. So let's concentrate on the 2018 for a minute, just the 2018. You do feel a little bit of that char on both of them, but anyway, just talking about this one, yes, a little bit of that barrel char. The rye, you do feel a little bit of that rye spice. It comes from the beginning towards the middle. I feel like I'm getting just a hint of fresh ginger in there. And I feel like now that I've let this sit a little bit, those dark chocolate, because I originally I said a 70% dark note, but the more this sits, the more the chocolate feels even richer, more decadent. I'm going to say more of an 80, 80% dark, where you get that little bit of dark chocolate bitterness in the finish. And then you got, I mean, then it just finishes nice, pleasant, oaky dry. A little bit of spice, not a lot. Oddly enough, other than that ginger really being prominent here, I feel the spice more on the 18. And if you look at these, even most of the head's gone, but you could tell that color is a little bit different. It's a little bit lighter. Well, I don't know if you can tell on camera here, but I'm looking at it here. It's definitely lighter on the 19. The carbonation has more of a snap on the 19. That's not a surprise at all. What is kind of a surprise though is I believe I feel the oak presence, the barrel presence, a little bit more on the 2019 than I do the 18. That with an extra year's age, you would really feel more of the oak, but I'm feeling more of the oak on the 2019 than I am the 18. Which one's better? Oh hell, I don't know. I hate to use that word. I hate when people ask me that because to me the word better implies quality. Well, which is better? None is better. You may have taste preference for one or the other, but it doesn't mean one's better than the other. Both are incredible quality beers. We're talking about two different vintages, so they're slightly different. Uh, but hell, I wouldn't kick either of them out in bed for eating crackers. I mean, I'll tell you that right now. Something we used to say back in the 70s and 80s. Anyway, I don't know if it's still a thing, but we were crazy back then. What did we know? We didn't know that all aspect of your life would soon be recorded and filmed. We didn't know any of that. We probably would have lived our lives differently if we'd known that. However, we might not have. If you look at the way people are living their life today, they're not changing a thing, even though it's all being filmed. Look at me, I'm making an ass out of myself, and so I probably wouldn't change a thing. So anyway, I digress. Mothers, I love mothers, man. I love their beer. There's no doubt about that. But I love everything about the place. I like the brewery, the tap room, and I've said this 100 times, but I'll say it one more time. The only thing I don't like is I wish they had an actual, a longer bar area where you could just sit at the bar and order a drink. But that aside, that's really a minor thing. What's great is the customer service there that exists at Mother's with Kyle and Jasmine and everybody out there, or Jeff the owner. I mean, I don't know that I've ever had a bad experience out there. Some have been better than others for one reason or another, but I've never had a bad one, and the beer's always great, and they always treat me well. So there you go. whether she's still a MILF or whether she's become Materfamilias, the bottom line is the beer is incredible. I think they're only using 4 barrels now, although I'm not exactly sure about that. Originally, it was a 5 barrel blend, and I think they've taken it down to 4. But what you've got is this big, decadent, rich imperial stout that they've taken and they've put into various barrels. And then when it becomes the ultimate MILF, what they do is they take their best and they blend them together to give you one incredible beer. But having said all of that, this rye barrel is just freaking incredible. So there you go. Whether it's a 2018 vintage or 2019 vintage. The one thing I could tell you, the major difference between the two, it is not necessarily that the flavors are different, is that they come at you in a different way. The 2018 really has this darker feel about it. I mean, the chocolate seems darker. The fruit notes seem to be a little more rich, a little more decadent. Everything about her seems to be elevated just a little bit. And who's to say that in a year from now, the 2019 won't adopt some of those qualities as well. However, what I do like about the 2019 is all the flavors do come together very harmoniously, and that you have this big rich sweetness, and then you get to the end where you just feel a hint of that oak char, that rye barrel really comes into play. And I feel more oak in the finish on the 19 than I do the 18, which seems odd to me. But there you go. There it is. That's all I got. that's it, man. I am Tom, the Beer Whisperer, beer evangelist, prolific beer drinker, per beer was a man. All right, good guy. Cheers.